If you are a typical citizen of the information age, then you must be very busy. So much to do, so little time to do it. Surely you have asked yourself the question, how can I be more efficient? And if you are a typical citizen of the information age, then you know exactly what to do to find the answer, right? Google it! The trouble is, how are you going to make sense of millions of tips on personal efficiency? Well, let me share with you a simple model I found useful to organize all these tips, to think about personal efficiency and take action. And the best news is, most of you already know it, but from a very different context. What we can expect to gain from an action would be the return we get on a specific outcome, multiplied by the probability of this outcome, summed over all possible outcomes. Example, imagine you play some sort of lottery and you have one chance in 1,000 of winning 1,500 euros. Well, your expected gain would be €1.50. So if you have to pay 2 euros to enter the lottery, then on average you lose money. That's the sad truth about gambling. Right? Let's not gamble. Let's see how this simple model can help us prioritize our actions. First, the return. Let's see what's desirable. Then, the probability. Let's see what's achievable. And finally, the whole expected gain. Let's see how broadly we can apply this model. If you are short on time, then don't do anything unless it is worth your time, right? Seems obvious enough, but it's easy to forget, especially if you are a perfectionist. And I bet many of you are. Well, guess what? So am I. So a personal example, then my business partner Geneviève and I, we teach communication, among others, how to design, write, and format documents. Now, imagine we have to sign some paperwork. We get a model document, and I go, ooh, I don't want our name on that. Let's fix it real quick. Huh? Start from a simple 3-column grid with generous margin as a strong basis for a harmonious page design. Now place the content. Set the title top left. Actually, on 2 lines for ease of reading and for visual balance. And now add the text. Ha! Too long. That's okay, it's got too many words anyway. Edit for conciseness. In fact, rewrite to optimize the line breaks so you can justify the text without any of the lines being visibly stretched. Huh? Wait! The data in there really deserve a graph, visually harmonized with paragraph 2 with a short caption under it that gets the message across. There! Ready at last for Geneviève's signature. And it doesn't take any time at all, right? 1 hour. All right, maybe 2. Which is when Geneviève goes, who's gonna see this? And I go, I don't know, I don't care. It's got our name on it. It's got to be perfect. 1 person who doesn't even care? Come on, think of everything else you could have done in 2 hours. Catch up on your sleep debt, spend some time with your kids, start one of those many projects on your long list of things to do someday. Okay, I get it, not the best use of my time. In this case, there are moments when all of this matters. Now, you may be perfectionist about very different things, and it's fine to be a perfectionist. I wouldn't be here talking to you if I wasn't one, but be it when it matters. On demand, don't be the victim of it. Challenge every single thing you believe you have to do. Ask yourself, what would happen if I did not do it? Nothing bad? Right now? Or in the future, then it's unimportant. Just don't do it. Otherwise, decide how important it is. Now, don't confuse important with urgent, right? It's independent. It's an orthogonal axis. If it is more urgent, then do it now. But if it's also less important, then don't spend too much time on it. Save your time for what is more important, even if it is less urgent. Oh, and as you all try to fill out this grid for yourself tonight, resist the temptation to place all of your actions top right. Okay? Use all categories. Once you figure out what is truly desirable in your life, the next question is, what are your chances? To make another obvious statement here, believe in yourself, fight for your dreams, but don't waste time on lost causes. You must have heard that idea before as well, possibly as a prayer, but it doesn't need to be. It's all about the courage to change the things you can change, the serenity to accept the things you cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference that is key to deciding on your priorities. Another personal story. My wife and I get an email from the music school of our kids sent to all the parents with all the email addresses visible. Now, we're a bit protective of our email address, so I propose to write to the music school and demand that from now on they put all the email addresses in blind copy. And that's when my wife goes, well, if it makes you feel better, go ahead and write. But you know how these people are. I don't think they will get your point, really. I have to agree the chance is small, and since the issue is not that important to me, well, little desirable multiplied by little achievable, that's a second order of smallness, it's negligible. It would be different if it were a matter of life or death. Even then, it's important to recognize true cases of probability 0. Say I'm flying to the United States again. We are already on the runway in Brussels, and we have to go back to the gate to fix an issue. Delays accumulate, and I start to worry about missing my connection in Chicago. Years ago, I would have been a nervous wreck for the whole flight, checking my watch all the time, thinking of nothing else. Nowadays, I can think, well, I cannot possibly make this plane fly faster. So there's only one simple decision, right? When I get off the plane, run or don't run. And I will make that decision when we touch down in Chicago and not before. That way I can be mentally available for something else during the flight, and I can still hit the ground running if that is what I choose to do. Because from then on, then the probability of making my connection depends largely on me. It's about doing what it takes at all times. In this case, travel with shoes and a bag I can run with. If it's desirable, then maximize your chances. You know, this whole idea of considering not only what's desirable, but also what's achievable has broad applicability. So let me go beyond simple to-do lists in 3 different ways. First, rather than maximize an expected gain, we might have to minimize an expected loss. If you are riding a motorcycle, for example, well, you are at risk of colliding with another vehicle and getting severely injured as a result. Wearing a helmet will mitigate your injuries in case of collision, but it will not, in itself, reduce the risk of collision. What would? Well, wearing a high-visibility vest, which, in turn, will not protect you in case you do collide with another vehicle. You could wear both, or perhaps simply wear a high-visibility helmet. Right? Second, do realize that your actions typically have both positive and negative outcomes. For example, if you fight with other people to get what you want, you may feel good if you win, but you had a fight, and that may well have consequences. I remember when my son was younger and would make a fuss at dinner about eating his green peas. I would look him in the eye and say, son, you're not going to win this one. You will eat your green peas no matter what. By making a fuss, you are not only wasting your time, which is bad enough, but also antagonizing mom and dad. And that's not good for anyone now, is it? Don't argue unless it's important, of course, but never argue when you cannot possibly win. Finally, you can use this simple model even when you want the outcome for someone else. Say, for example, that you are a teacher. Well, you know it, learning requires motivation. And that means that the students must believe that the outcome of learning is not only desirable, and that's already a big issue in education, but also achievable, and that is typically overlooked. It is fundamental to make students believe that they can learn. If they believe they cannot learn, they will be right about it. Well, it's that simple, really. What can we expect to gain? Well, it would be the result we might get multiplied by the probability that we get it, whether we consider positive outcomes or negative outcomes, or both, for ourselves and for others. That's when people tell me, yes, the model is simple. But is it correct? And I bet you've heard the answer to that one before as well. Essentially, all models are wrong. But some of them are useful. Over the years, this little model here has been so useful to me, I can only hope it will be equally useful to you, and I wish you every success as you figure out your very busy life in the information age.